Welcome to Detangle, where we untangle the complexities of life one conversation at a time. I'm your host, Dr. Kinjal Goel, a psychologist and a writer. Our guest today is the fabulous Ritika Mirchandani, a true talent in the field of fashion design and a torchbearer for those wanting to follow their heart in the Indian fashion industry. It's a great joy to have Ritika on the show today. Welcome, Ritika. Thank you so much for making it on Detangle.
Thank you, Kinjal. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, Ritika, we've all seen your designs, but let's get to know you a little personally first. Tell us about your journey. What were your qualifications before you started your own brand?
So, I went to study in Los Angeles at the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandise. That's where I got my fashion design degree.
Hmm.
And I stayed back in the US because I definitely knew I wanted some work experience before I came back. Actually, there was an excuse to also stay back there longer. So, I moved to New York right after I graduated, looking for a job. And I first got an internship with quite a well known fashion designer, Cynthia Rowley, who's in downtown New York.
Hmm.
It was an amazing experience, but that was an internship. And after that, I went on to work with Ralph Lauren for
Wow.
a couple of months. And I finally worked at another company called Wear Me Apparel, which housed Kenneth Cole and certain departments of all of them. Yeah, so after working for a couple of years in New York City, I decided to finally move back. I felt it was time. I wanted to start my own brand. So at the age of 26 is when I moved back, and yeah, I started my brand at the age of 27.
Well, that's really nice that you started young, Ritika. But tell me, how did this interest begin? Did somebody inspire you early on?
Yeah, my mom, she was a fashion designer. And, while I grew up, I would go to her studio and I always just felt like I was in Wonderland. And that's exactly when I knew that this was it. This is what I knew I was going to do. At age 7, you kind of, as a child, know that there's something I need to do in my life. And I just knew this was it. And so she definitely was my inspiration because that's actually where the seed was planted.
Now, how beautiful is that? It's so nice to have inspiration coming within the house. I think it's the most beautiful way to blossom.
Yeah, it
Okay.
is.
So, Ritika, how do you think fashion is changing in India? How are consumers changing, but what remains the same?
Fashion has changed so much in the past few years in India. You know, India has become one of the fashion hubs in the world. We
Mm.
have come on the map with so many different events and collaborations that have happened over the years with international designers and Indian designers also showcasing on an international platform, which has increased tremendously over the past few years. So I also think, accessibility and travel becoming easy and social media having given us all access to everything around the world, I think people are more aware of quality. People are more aware of what they want because a consumer is more discerning now. They are looking out for something that they actually know they want instead of trying to find what's out there. So it's changed a lot. The demand for quality has definitely risen. People are aware of what they're wearing. And consumers too are open to experimentation, even though they know what they want. I think the whole process of trying something new is definitely something that I'm seeing a lot more of now in these days. And what remains the same is, the demand for heritage textiles, different craftsmanship, and there is a huge sector of people who are still looking for, that craftsmanship of quality, and that still remains the same. So at the end of the day, you have um, both the worlds existing, but there definitely, a lot has changed as we can see over the past few years, and I think it's going to continue to change.
It's so beautiful, isn't it? Fashion is ever changing and never changing, and we are right in the center of it.
Absolutely. You look at fashion 10 years ago and you look at fashion now, I think every decade has brought in something new, and the evolution process has been really amazing to watch.
Beautiful. Ritika, let's talk about emotions and design. Do you see your designs reflecting your current emotional state, or does the process of design change your mood by itself?
I would actually say both because
Okay.
many times when I am suddenly inspired by something and I flow. And there are many times when I am in distress and I'm trying to design and there's a huge creative block. So emotions definitely play a huge role in any creative field, I feel, because you're you're actually expressing yourself, and based on the emotion, whether it's heightened or whatever it is that you're feeling, I definitely feel you're either free or restricted in your creative process at that time.
Well, I think that's true, for anything, even when we're trying to write a little note or write a little script, how
Yeah,
you're feeling definitely impacts your words. So I'm sure it's the same in fashion.
definitely, 100%. And learning that over the years to kind of balance the emotions when the deadlines are there, because
Hmm.
have to you have to get it done at that point. So um, that also has been a learning process.
So tell me, what does this creativity actually mean to you? Can you exercise complete creative freedom when designing clothes? Or do you need to keep yourself on a short, tight leash so that these products are viable for the market?
I think it's both also. I think, sometimes when you're showing on the runway, you have the freedom to do a lot more. But of course, when you're doing things from a commercial space, you are restricted. You are looking at the consumer. You are looking at, what is trending in the market at the moment. And as a brand, we don't specifically follow any trends, or I mean, I even my design or my creativity process or my design process, I have never fitted in a box. It flows as I go, and it's pretty much, what I'm feeling at that moment of time is when I'm designing something. It's not a planned process where we have a collection theme, or to me, that becomes a little guarded, and I feel like then I'm in a box. So it works. This is just something that works best for me.
Ritika, when you started off in this field, what was your ultimate dream? Like, what was that pinnacle you wanted to be at? Have you achieved it or are you still working towards it?
You know, I think your goals and dreams keep changing as you grow, as you move on in life, and as you hit certain milestones, you start setting the bar higher. So I think as a child, my dream was to be on the runway for sure, and I have achieved that. But
Mm.
you ask me today, there are so many more aspirations we have as a brand where we want to go, and I think that will keep changing over the years based on you know where we've taken ourselves.
How nice. I think this is the basic of any brand, of any company, that unless you start redefining your goals and reinventing yourself, you start stagnating.
100%. Yeah, I agree.
Ritika, we can all see how beautifully rewarding it is to be in your line of work. But can you tell me about the stressors too? What have been your greatest challenges as a designer and as a business owner?
Um, there are some, and I think one of them is going through creative blocks, you know, um, which take me back to the question you had about emotions and design. I think there are times that we face where we have deadlines, or you have a show and you're trying to be as creative as possible, but um, you're not flowing or you're not in flow. And overcoming those blocks has been a skill I'm still trying to learn. But your personal life sometimes does affect your emotions, which eventually does have put you in a place where you're blocked creatively. So that becomes a challenge sometimes. um, and the industry that we work in, the fashion industry, timelines and deadlines can get very challenging as a business owner. And
Mm.
so even when you keep buffers, sometimes it does become a challenge to meet them at times, only because work is a lot to do with hand embroidery and handmade. So there are times we face challenges in these aspects.
Right. Mm. I think we're all different kinds of personalities. Those who like to plan, they can really suffer through this. But those who go with the flow are kind of better because they know care. This is the only thing we can have for certain, and that is uncertainty.
Absolutely. And the whole go with the flow aspect, I always thought I was going with the flow, but giving away that control of, the creative control, or where social media is concerned, I found it so difficult for so many years to let go and let, people who are part of this, uh, company do what they're supposed to do, but I would always intervene. I think slowly I've started letting go of it.
So important, though.
Yeah.
So tell me on a personal level, what is the one fashion mistake you wish people would just stop making?
Leopard print for me, but sorry. I know it's a trending point right now, but from a personal point of view, it doesn't do much for me.
Well, okay, we're going to keep it at that. So, this is a question I have for all the designers that I'm speaking to. Social media has made it possible for you to reach out, your designs are reaching the right customers, but it's also opened up this whole Pandora's box of plagiarism, copying, outright stealing of one's intellectual property. Do you face it? I mean, how do you deal with it?
No, initially, when that started happening, I would look at it and be like, what is wrong with these people? Actually, there was a time when I saw a well known person on stage wearing one of our outfits. And I think you have to just look at it as a form of flattery, because if someone is trying to do something that you're doing, it speaks about the product that you're creating. So over the years, now it doesn't. When I see it, we see it a lot. In fact, on social media, we get tagged on outfits that are not ours. So um, now it doesn't bother. You just look at it and smile and say it's something that. I mean, pat yourself on the back that someone wants to do the same thing.
Well, I think they used to say this for Parle G at one point, imitation is the highest form of
Of
flattery.
flattery, exactly.
Lovely.
Yeah.
You work with a lot of celebrities for your shows, for your outfits, but who's been the most fun to work with? Any anecdotes?
They've all been amazing, but because I've worked with Rakul maybe recently more than a couple of times, I think her energy has been amazing, and our vibe has really worked well, and I love how she looks in her clothes. So yeah,
Lovely. Ritika, do you believe in the power of manifestation? Is there something that you have literally dreamt into reality? Is there something you're currently manifesting?
yeah, 100%. I definitely believe in the power of manifestation, and I think I have been a dreamer all my life. So I think by default, from an early age, I was manifesting without no understanding that it was happening, because there are so many things that I had wanted, which, today I'm lucky to say that I have managed to achieve it, but one of which was my store. So,
Mhm.
in one of my other interviews, I had spoken about how I had this picture with me from 2017 and 2018. I can't remember exactly when, but it was basically an image that I'd found and I printed it out, which was how I wanted my store to be, with a garden outside and these arched walls. And cut to, I think, yeah, a couple of years later, when I found my space, that's exactly how I managed to have it. And the funny thing is, I managed to find a space that had a garden outside it, which is very rare in Bombay.
And it's so powerful to believe that this can actually happen.
Yeah, and I didn't have a doubt that it would happen, but it was just, as I said, the process of it is so important. Just being involved in the process of evolving yourself, your brand, and everything around you. So you eventually start becoming a bit of a match to what you're aspiring.
How beautifully said. Let me ask you a fun one, Ritika. If you had to give some advice to your 12-year-old self, what would it be?
Oh, there's actually so much I would tell my 12-year-old self, but I think one important thing that I think I would tell myself would be that we need to love and accept all parts of ourselves.
Mm.
That sense of duality and understanding that we need to make space for the good, the bad, the ugly, because at the end of the day, these are just words we've defined them with. And that acceptance is so important, I feel, which for me started happening only a few years ago. And I mean, the other thing I would tell myself is to chill and enjoy the process, because, you know, from that age on, I think as we grow, we get so, you know, bound to outcomes
Fixated.
and attached to, um,
The
our
results, yeah.
results, the outcomes, and everything, that, we lose sight of the whole process, which is where the growth happens and which is where the most beautiful part of it all is.
It's so beautifully said. I had read somewhere recently that your compassion is incomplete if it doesn't include you.
100%. And that's so true. It's always going to be incomplete if it doesn't include you.
Wonderful. So let me ask you a question, Ritika, that I ask all my guests. It's one of my favorite questions on this show. You're aware of a physical first aid box, right? The one we keep at home for minor cuts and bruises. We'll keep some band-aids, painkillers, whatever it takes, for those little things. But what if I were to ask you to keep an emotional first aid box at home? Something that you can open on a bad day when you're feeling low and something which would make you immediately happy. What would you put in it?
I would put in it my favorite playlist.
Okay.
I would put my puppy, Ziggy.
Oh.
I would, yeah, I would obviously put in some dark chocolate.
Hmm.
I would put in a letter to myself, and a letter that would sound uplifting to me, and as a reminder.
Wow.
of-
So, not just an emotional first aid box, you've also made a time capsule. I love the sound of this.
Yeah, because I think, sometimes if that first aid box, my mental first aid box was there, I would obviously reach out to it when I needed it. And I would write things that I would need to hear the most at that time.
How nice. I'm loving this. You love yourself. You have to take care of yourself. You have to pick up yourself and you have to be there for yourself. It's so complete.
That is so important at the end of
Yeah. Okay, Ritika, I'm taking you into the rapid fire round now. Answer rapid. There are no retakes on this one. Just tell me what you feel.
Okay.
What's your favorite book?
The Alchemist.
Okay. Your favorite movie character?
Raj from Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge.
Lovely. Your biggest pet peeve?
Cockroaches.
Hmm. What do you prefer, the business side of work or the creative side?
Creative side.
Your most prized possession?
My puppy Ziggy.
Oh, that was so nice. Thank you so much. Okay, now before we come to the closing comments, Ritika, is there anything that you want to ask me as a psychologist?
How would you suggest, you know, tips for entrepreneurs who may have low times in their business and high times, and how to cope with the ups and downs that come? I think that is so important for people to get insight from someone in that field.
Well, to begin with, I really believe in micro vacations and in taking little breaks so that burnout doesn't occur. What is happening right now in the entrepreneurial space is that people work hard,
Yeah.
but they work so hard till they achieve at least one bit of their goal and then they say, oh, now we'll party harder. But
Right.
that doesn't work because in case you don't hit your goal or in case your deadline isn't met or your client isn't happy, it's going to bring a crash with it. Instead of that, if you can take a couple of days off in the middle of the week, maybe a weekend or maybe just an evening off, even on a working day, treat yourself to something nice. Remember why you're on this path and do something nice along the way. The crash is not so intense. That helps a lot of entrepreneurs stay on their path longer.
Yeah, just balancing it out in certain ways instead of going for it longer periods of time.
Yeah, and a lot of people want to now just, take long vacations at the end of 6 months, save for it, do it. I say it's not as effective as the little breaks. Take a midweek break if you need to. Go to the spa if you have to. Read when you want to, but be nice to yourself every day, not
Yeah.
just on those special designated days.
How lovely. That sounds great and sound advice.
Well, it's been so lovely talking to you, Ritika. I have always loved your designs. I've been a
Thank
client of yours forever.
you so
But
much, so much for having me.
no, it's been amazing. I mean, thank you for sharing your journey with us. Thank you for sharing all your ups and downs with us. And I'm sure there's going to be an episode which a lot of people want to listen to because they've seen the power and the beauty of your designs. And now they want to know the real Ritika. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.